Good afternoon, everyone, and we are so glad that you are here with us, those who are here in person and those who we see on Zoom. Thank you for being part of this gathering, which we wish we didn't have to do. But for all of us who share in the grief of the loss of Lori and of Elliot, and in the compassion for Jonathan and Stephanie and the rest of their family and friends, we felt that this would be a good time to come together as we mark the end of the Shloshim period, the end of the first 30 days of mourning for Lori, and the Yortzeit for Elliot, so that they somehow coincided. When the universe gives us lemons, we make lemonade. So Rabbi Mati and I will be guiding us through a very short mincha service at which we will do some of the afternoon prayers, which you will recognize, and we will also share memories and hopefully bring smiles, although bittersweet, to our sanctuary and to ourselves.
So the mincha prayer starts from the prayer called Ashrei, which literally says how happy we are, and it feels strange to start from a prayer that says how happy we are when we are confronting loss or memorializing those who are no longer with us. But there's a way of turning it around, and one can think, when one says these words, think of all the good memories that one has of the dearly departed, and one can also look around and see the support that there is for those who are confronting this loss. So, as we say the words of Ashrei responsively, let's think of the happy memories of those who are no longer with us, and let's think of the family and the best ways to support them. And you can find Ashrei on page 2a. Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yechalucha sela.
Ashrei ha'am shekach lo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav.
תהילה לדוד, ארמימך אלוהיך מלך, וברך שמך לעולם ועד.
בכל יום אברכך, והללה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומחולל מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורותיך יגידו.
חדר כבוד חודך, ודברי נפלאותיך עשיך.
ועזוז נורותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
זכר רב טובך יביעו, וצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדול חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני האדם גבורותיו, וכבוד האדם מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
עיני כל אליך יסברו, ואתה נותן לכם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל הרצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קוראיו, לכל אשר יקראוהו באמת.
רצון ירא אף יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
תחילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah.
We now turn to our Amidah, to the standing prayer on page 13a. Please stand if you're able to do so.
Adonai sifatai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניכם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצביח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, אלוה כל הארץ כבודו. לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך יבוא אדוני ממקומו, ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם. אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור לדור ואגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We continue through page 25A silently.
Each of us has a different prayer. We're different, and so what we hope for is different. But yet there's one desire, one hope we all share, the desire for peace in our hearts, in our minds, in the hearts and minds of those who mourn and who remember, in our community, in our country, in the world. Let's pray for peace with the words of Ose Shalom at the bottom of page 25a.
Ose shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, v'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
The afternoon service, like every service, finishes with the words of Aleinu, the words that tell us that this is our responsibility to take upon ourselves the precepts of our tradition, one of the most important of which is the commandment to remember, to perpetuate the memory of our loved ones, and to lead a life in their honor so that they would be proud of us, so that their memory, their heritage is still present in the world. Let's embrace this memory of our dearly departed as we rise for Aleinu on page 26a.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei gdula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. On page 27b at the bottom of the page. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved, each of us, for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz vayom hachu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad. Please be seated. We'd now like to dedicate a few moments for the sharing of thoughts and memories about Lori or Elliot or both. And if there's something that you would like to share, I have a portable mic because we certainly want everybody to be able to hear. So Rabbi, I'll take this half of the room. You can take, we will be dual Dr. Phils.
Hi, everyone. So Bethany and Jonathan were in probably the biggest and perhaps the best Hebrew school class this temple has ever had. It was huge, and they had a wonderful time. What they learned is another story, but they did have a grand time. Anyway, we lived near Jonathan, and I think it was my turn to take the kids to school that day. Now, I had undergone cancer surgery, and I was in chemotherapy at the time. And Bethy was at a playmate's house, and I fell asleep. And I had no idea that it was time to go to Hebrew school. The phone rang and woke me up, and of course I'm groggy, and it was Lori saying, "You coming to get them?" And she could hear I said, oh yeah, I'll wake up. And she said, no, never mind. I said, Bethy's not even home. She's at a friend's house. Tell me where the friend lives. I'll go pick her up, and I'll get them to Hebrew school. So that's my Lori Katz story.
My mom was at home undergoing chemo and surviving that. And I drove to and from school with Jonathan and his parents, and I remember very little of my childhood for some reason, but I will never forget the red convertible ride home, and his parents would splurge and take us through the car wash, something my parents would never dream of. Still my favorite thing to do with my two kids, but that was one of the best parts of my childhood.
The top of the convertible would have been up during the car wash. Just FYI.
Most of the time.
Well, I have so many different phases. Certainly when the Katzes joined the temple, and Jonathan, Stephanie and Danny were in the same class, and Jonathan was right there between Rachel and Danny. But Elliot and Lori and Greg and I had a unique relationship because they were president and then president. Greg and Elliot were president and president. Lori and I were just the presidents in the background. But I think, so we went through that whole thing, and certainly then we used to have the presidents do, during B'nai Mitzvahs, they do things. Of course, Elliot always had to one up, no matter what it was, in his presentation, and he, it was just wonderful, wonderful memories. And I think then, actually, after Elliot passed and then Greg passed, and so Lori and I used to talk on the phone, and she was coming. Okay. She was going to come out for a month, next month, and she was just at such a good place. She was starting to go to groups where she was getting support and starting her new form of her business. So that's my memories.
So something more uplifting. I'm Mark Filowitz, and Elliot was one of the men that used to play volleyball at the Shapiro House every Sunday religiously. Matter of fact, I still have my Coco's fingers that are bent out of shape from having him come down on me with all his might. But one time I came down on Elliot really, really hard, and he yells out, "That was egregious." I figured that must be a legal term, you know. And that was one of the few times that my son Adam was there playing with us. And Adam was small as a child, but if you haven't seen Adam lately, he's the Hulk, okay? And he sees Elliot coming at me and yelling at me, and he starts walking over, and I said, "Adam, step down, step down." He's harmless.
So I'm Lisa, and Lori and Elliot joined our Havara, Macher Maven Havara, and we had wonderful times together. And a few things that I can remember is at Leslie's bat mitzvah, which was the first one, and all he wanted to do was eat the kids, hot dogs and whatever. He forgot the adult food. And then one time we took a train down to where was it? No, south. We went down, San Clemente, right. And he got up and laid down in the top where you put the luggage. And we just had wonderful times, and he'd bring his guitar, and we'd always, be singing a lot and stuff. And so, yeah, it's just incredibly sad. And we got the opportunity when Elliot was, sick last year. We were going back to New Jersey to visit our daughter Leslie, and I contacted Lori and I said, we want to see you. And I was hoping that we would see Elliot too, and we didn't, but we got to spend an afternoon with Lori, and even then she was actually doing very well, and we were just so glad that we did get to see her.
I, like everyone else, could tell stories of Elliot's sense of humor and what it was like to be a younger person here with them. But actually, I want to tell a recent memory. Jonathan, why was your mom here? How long ago was your mom here? A few months ago?
She was here like around Labor Day,
Yeah.
early September. We stayed at your place. You went out there. You were putting out your storage. I'm so glad we got
Well, she came walking in for services, and I was here early doing something, and I came around the corner, and we just locked eyes, and I was so excited. I didn't know she was coming, and I probably over-aggressively ran up to her and hugged her, and she was just crying and saying, I just can't believe you remember me. And I thought, why are you the most humble person I've ever met? Because of course I remember her, and also through the years, she would go out of her way to send me Facebook messages about library things for the kids, and just be a cheerleader for my growing family, and wishing she was here more, and saying that, and me saying it back. So it was just I thought it was the epitome of her personality, that she was humbled that somebody would remember her, that she had done so many nice reach out things for. And I'm glad I got that last hug.
I'll meet you halfway.
Okay,
So
I'm Mindy.
I had the opportunity to not only be friends with Lori here, but also at Golden Elementary School, where she was the librarian. And I tell you, she was so well loved. She had a safe space for these kids to come in. She knew what book to recommend to every child, no matter what grade they were in or how old they were or what their reading level was. She knew, and she could recommend just the right book, and she got so many kids hooked on reading, a love of books, and it was an honor to work with her there, and then, of course, to be sitting next to her here in the congregation. She was very special.
Hi, I'm Mindy. So the story that's typically told is when Elliot would be making his last-minute notes after the service, and Gabriel, as most of you know, would be running around like a crazy kid. By the way, he just graduated college finally. So, and Gabriel only wanted to be with Elliot. He would scream for Elliot, and Elliot would take him up on the bima and make his announcements, and that made Gabriel very happy even 20 years later. So, and just a recent story with Lori. So I was in New York recently. I went with Rebecca first to DC, and then I went to visit family, and Lori drove into the city met me at my cousin's house, drove back to Great Neck. We sat around in our pajamas and I feel very, very lucky. This happened at the it was the beginning of April, I think. And we had a Sunday of just sitting around in our pajamas and eating bagels, really good bagels, nothing like New York bagels. And, and then she drove me to my friends, like in Rybrook, and we had dinner all together, and they all said that they would see each other again. And it just felt really nice that we had that. We didn't do anything special. We just sat around and chatted, and we did a little work and just enjoyed each other's company. So.
I'm getting two. My name is Beverly Steinberg, and I have a story about Elliot and a story about Laurie. When my mom passed away in 2008, and Elliot came to the Shiva, and we had put up a bunch of pictures of my family, and I don't know, Jonathan, if you know, but I'm a Katz. I was born a Katz. And Elliot went through my house and said, oh, this looks like my uncle so-and-so, and this looks like this one. And he really made a sad occasion for me to put a little humor spin on it. And I really appreciated Elliot for that. And then for Laurie, I once went to her house to donate some things for baskets that she was putting together for a temple silent auction. And the whole downstairs of the house was filled with baskets and products and everything else to be put together. And I said, well, Laurie, it's like in 2 days, and you have a lot of work to do. I'm gonna stay and help. And she said, oh, no, I'll get it done. Don't worry. You go home. I had some things to do. You go. And that was Laurie's her energy was amazing. And she would take any task and see it through and follow it through. She wasn't one of those that just says, I'll finish and not finish. She always followed through on what she promised. So. We'll miss her.
So Lori and Cindy were the first people to welcome us to the temple. It was our first time coming. It was a night of music, and they welcomed us at the door. And from that point forward, we knew both of them, but Lori knew that I was very, very shy and introverted, and she was constantly trying to draw me out and get me involved in things. And she also knew that our son, Robbie, had a crush, or whatever you call it, on Jonathan. I would follow Jonathan every place he went. And when Robbie was switching schools to go to Golden, and he was very nervous and, didn't really want to go. And Lori told me, it'll be all right. I'll see him and it'll be all right. He'll be okay. We arrived at the school and Robbie was just, didn't want to go in. And Lori said, come to the library. When you have your lunch break, you just come to the library and you'll be with me. And she did, and he did, and so did many of the other kids. The library was a refuge with Lori. And whether a kid was, very social or stood out a little bit, she was there for them. She always made sure they had a safe space that they could go so they were never left out. Over the years, we became close to Lori and Elliot. Elliot, of course, hysterical, right? but he was also so smart. I remember sitting at a meeting with him and listening to him explain something, and his logic was so precise, taking something very difficult and breaking it down so that everybody could understand it and making it simple. And I never forgot what a leader he was. Mark and I became closer and closer to Lori and Elliot, and we were afraid when they moved that we would lose contact with them. But luckily we didn't. Lori, we would talk on the phone all the time, and I'm just, I talked to Lori a couple of days before she passed away. I still can't believe that she passed away. We had seen her recently, and she was happy. She was moving forward, and I just hope that I can exhibit the grace and loyalty and love that Lori and Elliot both showed to everybody, be it at the temple or in their work life or just in life in general. Plus, they raised two incredible kids.
So, Penny told some of my favorite stories already, but we were very fortunate to see Elliot and Lori every time they would come into town, and Lori was in, I guess it was Labor Day, and stayed at Sherry's house, and Lori said, "Come on over." We brought some food. She wanted to swim. We were swimming. I've got some great pictures of that I'll just always cherish. And I remember I used to talk with Lori for hours in the other room while we were waiting for our kids to finish Hebrew school. So I wasn't going to go home and come back. So we would come here early, and kids would do homework, and we would just chat, and that was just really wonderful. We just about a month or so ago, Elliot and Lori came to see Robbie participate in a competition at school, a talent competition, and Robbie was doing a drum solo. And it's a very famous drum solo. Robbie worked really hard on it. He was doing this great job while he was doing it, and there became a crescendo in this drum solo, and you heard this big whoop, somebody yelling, and it was Elliot. And so, I'll just never forget that. And the place went wild after that Elliot whoop. Elliot was also a great teacher. I got an opportunity to watch him teach some classes on options, which was his area of expertise. And he was a fantastic teacher. And I had never known that. So I was actually very excited and happy the times that I was able to see some of his online camp classes that he would do. We'll really miss both of them, and in fact we think of them really every day, and it's just very, very sad, and my heart goes out to the kids, and especially with a wedding that was supposed to occur, and we were just looking so forward to going, and just very, very sad.
There's also Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to share? Just raise your hand and we will unmute you.
Alvin Katz.
Grandpa Al, you're good to go. I think you're off mute. Don't know if we can hear you. We can't hear you, unfortunately. If you want to call me, you can call me instead, and I'll put the mic on the phone. We're both wearing white V-necks, then, like grandfather, like son, I suppose. Yep, we got several grandparents on the Hollywood Squares board tonight. Waiting with bated breath here.
While you're doing that, I'll share a story about Elliot. At some point, we were going to have a Purim carnival, and we were having karaoke. And of course, Elliot loved to perform. And I don't know whose idea it was, but we ended up performing I Got You, Babe by Sonny and Cher. And we did that every opportunity we could get until Elliot and Lori moved to New York. At which time I switched karaoke partners to Greg. And now I'm retiring the song. It's not a good thing. Go.
You're on, Grandpa. Hello? Hold on one sec. Hold on one second. Thought I had it on speaker. There we go. Okay, start over.
I want to tell a story about Jonathan when he wanted to join the Little League.
Can you mute yourself on Zoom now?
Stephanie.
Just mute everything you got
Stephanie, can you mute?
Yeah, okay. So,
all right, we're just going to do this on speakerphone, I think. Can you just tell the story?
okay. So, he was very young. He wanted to join Little League, and he didn't. I wanted to teach him how to pitch. So we went down in the back. We had a alleyway, a driveway in the back of the house, the apartment, and I taught him. He started pitching to me, and he was a left-handed pitcher. And the
Stephanie has elected not to. She's comfortable, home, pajamas, chilling. But Stephanie, if you want to, you can, but you really don't have to. I could sit here for hours listening to you regale me with stories about my family. Please, anyone on Zoom, really don't be shy at all. No, thank you. That's okay. A lot of the New York folks were there for the funeral and for the graveside thing, so they may all be shared out. But if you want to unmute, we'll give it another 30 seconds or so or less for anyone, and it's all good. Then I can say some closing things from my perspective. Okay. Someone's raising their hand, but I can't tell who it is. All right. If you ever want to share anything else, like you can always message me on Facebook or any time. I love hearing the stories, and we're going to get through this as a community, which is something I learned in this room, I think. But yeah, so I'll just say a couple of things. I feel weird not looking at you, so I'm going to come up here. I want to just thank you all for being here and for your love and for your support and for your just long friendships with my mom. It really means everything. And when we were going through this with my dad, I'm hearing, aspects of how you all saw him and seeing the parts of me that came from there. And I didn't realize that was happening until this time with mom and hearing a totally different side of my personality that I now know has really come from the type of nurturing, community-building person that she was. Like, why am I always driving my friends to the airport? Because that's what she did. Like, why am I always like, oh, I'll just come to you, a 90-minute drive, who cares? It's fine. It's like, I heard a few stories of that kind of thing, and now I know that she cursed me with that generosity. But I really want to encourage you, if you ever want to just say hi or share a memory or anything at all, I'm here. Stephanie is here. I think I'm chattier than her, so I probably get that from my mom too. But if you just want to say hi or be sad or be happy, it's okay. We're all here together. I'm very open to conversation. You don't have to worry about saying something that might make me sad or I don't want to talk about it. I do want to talk about it, and I want to talk to all of you as often as I can. So I love you very much. She loved you very much. He loved you very much. This is an incredibly special community. I love coming back here. And I want to thank the Stacks and the Havara for getting the plaques up. That's a beautiful donation to see their names here. And while I have your attention, I guess I'll reflect on one thing. Miriam sent me a photo of the plaques last night or a day or two ago, I forget when that was. And for some reason, that was a moment where this felt very permanent for me. And even though I saw my dad's footstone last month when we were doing the burial for my mom, there was something about this like TBT font colors on the wall that was like, oh yeah, this happened to you. This is real. Because I've only been in a cemetery a few times in my life, but I've walked past these names thousands of times probably. And seeing these names of people whose faces I'll never know who they are. They clearly mean, the plaque means something to somebody that just isn't me. And now I've got 2 of those up on that wall that mean a lot to me. And then there's going to be kids years from now who walk by those names and they won't know who they are, but that's okay. They're there for us. So thank you for all of that. Thank you for all of your support and love, and life goes on.
I couldn't imagine a more worthy transition to the memorial part of the service than these words. They were truly beautiful, and I think that they touched many hearts here, hearts of people who will reach out to you. This is very much, I can see it in the room, your community. We're there for you, and we're grateful that you're here with us today. The memorial service in the Jewish tradition starts from Psalm 23, which is a kind of a psalm with two meanings, because on one hand, it tells that that nobody should be afraid to die, because we'll come to an eternal place and there we'll find peace. But also it's a psalm that could be interpreted to mean that we, if we're lucky and we have the community around us, we have our cup full of memories of our loved ones. So let's say this psalm together. In English, on page 28a, thinking of Lori and Elliot and all the memories that were shared and all the memories that will be shared in the next weeks, months, and years, as the plaque is there and as the memories become a permanent part of who we are as TBT. A Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I am complete. In lush meadows you let me lie down. Alongside tranquil waters you lead me. You restore my life. You guide me in paths of righteousness for the sake of your name. Even when I walk through the valley of deep darkness, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff do reassure me. You set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. Wine brims over my cup. Indeed, goodness and steadfast love shall pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai as long as I live. On page 29a, we have Psalm 121, which is one of the unit of the Psalms called the Pilgrimage Psalms, that tell us that life is a journey. In these Psalms were recited when one would travel to Jerusalem. So many of you, when you shared the memories it involved, picking somebody up or coming for a trip or driving to a part of New York or, going to San Clemente, wherever you went with Lori and Elliot, let's focus on the words of Psalm 121 and think of the journey that you were privileged to have together with them.
Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esainai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai Ose shamayim va'aretz. Esa enai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri. Esa enai el harim me'ayin yavo ezri.
Adonai will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life in our memories. Adonai will guard your going to eternity and coming to peace, now and forever. We now continue on page 29b.
We who remember are artists, aerialists on a swinging trapeze, letting go one ring to catch another. Hold on and let go, a subtle duality that endows our life with meaning, neither denying the past nor foreclosing the future. We are part of the flow of life, the divine process, which gives and takes, creates and retains. We too must give and take, seize hold and release. Adonai gives and Adonai takes. Blessed is the name of God's sovereign glory.
When I turn to El Maleh Rachamim on page 33a, please rise in body or spirit as we ask God to give Lori and Elliot peace.
El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Ametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim, Utehorim Kezohar Harakia, Mazhirim, Et Nishmat, Yitzchak ben Avraham HaKohen Uberbo, Belea bat Gershon Ufreda, Shalchu leolamo. Ba'ala Rachamim, Yastirehem beseter kenafav leolamim. Bitzror achayim et nishmatam. Adonai hu nachalatam. V'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavam. And Omar, Amen. God, full of compassion, you dwell in the heights and in the depths. Grant perfect rest under the wings of your presence to our beloved Lori and Elliot, who our loved ones who have entered eternity. Let them find refuge forever in the shadow of your wings, and let their souls be bound up in the bond of eternal life. For you, the everlasting God, are their inheritance. May they continue to rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Let's turn to the page 33b. At the top of the page, I will read different phrases of a text that you know, and you can respond, we remember them. In the rising of the sun and its going down.
We remember them.
In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter.
We remember them.
In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring.
We remember them.
In the blueness of the sky and the warmth of summer.
We remember them.
In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn.
We remember them.
In the beginning of the year and when it ends.
We remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength.
We remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart.
We remember them.
When we have joys we yearn to share.
We remember them.
So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us, as we remember them. Mourner's Kaddish did not start as a prayer for those who are deceased. It started as the prayer for the teachers who taught us something very special, and then sons started to say it for their fathers, and then it became a prayer for the relations to say for their loved ones who are no longer in this world. I feel that it doesn't matter if you are a family member or a member of the Havurah or a friend, you are all touched by Lori and Elliot. And so we'll say Kaddish together, yes, in recognition of the tradition that it's the family that leads us in the recitation of the Kaddish, but also in recognition that our community has been touched and changed by them, and they will be a part of this community, not just a plaque on the wall. Realizing that it's our honor and our responsibility to perpetuate their memory here at TBT, we say Kaddish together on page 34a, together with Lori and Elliot's family. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Balma divrah hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomeichon, v'chayei the whole Beit Israel, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יחי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתחלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה. תשבחתה ונחמתה. דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יחי שלמה רבה מן שמיה. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל אמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. We conclude our service with the words of Hinematov, which tell us that things can feel better when we are together to support each other as a community, sitting next to each other in a place where we feel comfortable with each other is this force that gets us through even the most difficult of times.
הנה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
To the family of Lori and Elliot and to their friends, we extend the traditional blessing of consolation. Hamakom yenachem etchem betoch she'ar chavalim. May God's consolation come to you through the company and support of all those who mourn and remember with you. Thank you so much for coming today.
Please join us in the social hall for a bit of nosh.